Today I'm doing the Helmsley Hiking Heist trail.
Hello detectives, I'm Dr. Annalisis of TTHQ Forensics. You'll receive your case briefing in the next screen. I'll see you again when you submit your final answer to let you know how you got on. Good luck!
Let's work out who's done the murder.
We started off looking for a big stone at the end of the car park. This gave us the first name to eliminate from our lineup of murder suspects. Rose Lyons is in the clear. We advanced onwards for clue 2 along the right-hand pavement. I had time to look at myself and concluded I was a Babe Delicious detective. With my 2 trainees, Mum and Yvonne, we cleverly located a circle atop a black and white pole. This was clue number 2. The word that comes after 2, multiplied by the number of vowels by the number of consonants, allowed us to eliminate the footprint from the evidence file. Mum and Yvonne seemed very confused, so I had to explain the answer several times. At this point, I began to think my 2 trainees were as helpful as a chocolate teapot. Just to make sure, I examined the clue again and came to the same conclusion. The footprint was the correct answer and had to be eliminated from the evidence gallery. We set off with speed in search of our next clue. Keep those eyes peeled to locate the item you can see in the next image. Now check the area where you're standing, as there's another innocent suspect lurking on the same line as our lady. Identify them and then set them free. What did this mean? My trainees said. I quickly worked it out, while they looked around without a clue. Once again I had to explain everything to them. I walked them through my deductive reasoning and told them Chad Kirkby was in the clear. I was so good at being a detective. It's just so easy, I thought. I felt superior to my trainees until they pointed out I was walking down a dead-end street. We returned to the main road and dealt right. After the small bridge, we turned right again to follow the small footpath next to the brook. Simple, I thought. This is just like a fun day out. Then it went a bit wrong as I dropped my case files into the brook. I managed to rescue them, but they were very wet. I pressed on at speed toward clue number 4. Was this line of stones part of the clue, or were just kids messing around building a dam? The clue notes mention the following. As you cross the next bridge, note down the number of metal brackets on the handrails. There were 6 brackets in total.
Make a note of the speed limit on the lane when...
After checking the directions to ensure we were on the right path, I couldn't help but think about clue 4, what the 6 metal rails meant, and why I needed to find out the speed limit on the road at the bottom of this lane. Then I caught a glimpse of myself and thought how beautiful and fresh I looked, considering I just walked through the woods on a murder hunt. As I wandered further up the hill, I thought about the numbers again and found out the speed limit is 10 miles per hour. What does 6 and 10 mean? Why were these numbers so important? Was it a simple case of adding them together, or was it something way more complicated?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Bookman. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Esther Bookman. That's really clever. Because look. Esther Bookman. Yeah, because look, she looks like she could do murder 5 times a day. She's like...
From the sports field's gates, we retraced our steps back along the road, passing the lane we joined from earlier. Walking along with my thoughts, I couldn't believe the murderer wasn't Esther Bookman. She just looked so dodgy. We had to press on. We needed to find the church and the graves within it. We looked for the grave of Captain John White. We had to examine it closer to identify the number of his regiment. My case files were still wet after being dropped in the brook. The pages were stuck together and the ink began to fade, but I persevered and pressed on.
Yeah. And at the end of 1861 is the piece of hair. Yeah.
The hair could now be withdrawn from the evidence gallery. The next clue, number 6, was tricky and required concentration. If second after second is Feversham, what is first after first? This baffled my 2 trainees, Yvonne and Mum, which frustrated me because I felt I was doing all the detecting. In the end, the answer was as clear as words written on a plaque. The answer was Earl, meaning Earl Cosby was no longer a suspect and could be removed from the suspect list. With a spring in my step, I suggested treating ourselves to some beverages from the bakery. We made our way to Thomas the baker for a well-deserved beverage. I opted for a Coke, ensuring this would supply me with a sugar rush, allowing me to remain focused. Clue number 7 appeared on a drain cover, and after unscrambling the cryptic lettering, I could cross off another suspect from the list. I felt the case was coming together, and everything was falling into place neatly. Clue number 8 took us up the road to Bondgate Mews, where I had to brainstorm the next riddle. Once again, my trainees were confused. I began to think they had no brains between them. In the end, I had to explain everything using simple words.
The answer is sat-nav users.
Another suspect was clear and crossed off the list. We regrouped to examine the next clue, which was as big as a church, with some head scratching and pointing at letters and numbers on the wall. We worked out the complex riddle and eliminated yet another person from the suspect list. Charlie Osborne was in the clear. I felt rather smug, and my face said it all. We fast-paced up the street, looking for the old station house, which formed part of Clue 10. Taking some rather long strides, I happened to catch my reflection, and many thoughts rushed through my head. Do I need a haircut? Would Danley earrings suit me? Can you see up my nose at this angle? Or do I look gorgeous? What would my mum say if I coloured my hair blue? Would I look good in red lippy lipstick? And are my lips suitable for kissing? I had to push these thoughts aside and continue onwards. I came to a crossroads and considered left or right. Not my career as a detective, but just the directions to the station house. I looked around for clues but felt uneasy. I felt like I was being watched or, even worse, targeted. Something curious stood out on the green post thing. It was a name that sounded like poo.
Got it? Found it. I know who it is.
Who?
It's Noah Pooley.
Really?
Yeah.
How?
It says Pooley.
Just then, a sharpshooter tried to take me out. I thought that was it. I was dead as a dodo. But luckily, my standard issue bulletproof jacket absorbed the impact and left a scorch mark resembling pigeon poo.
I'm all clean now. That's why it was called Pooley's. Boom, boom, boom.
We pushed on and ticked Noah Pooley from the list. The murderer knew we were getting close. I would have to keep my wits about me at all times. They could try and take me out again. Clue 11 took us to the old railway line, where we managed to eliminate another suspect from the list.
Jilling equals Jill.
Dun, dun, dun.
With the dramatic sound effects left behind me, I pushed on and overtook my mum and Yvonne, who were busy discussing tonight's TV viewing, The Masked Singer or Traitors. I gained some new vital intel. A squeaker or snitch was going to give up the cheese and supply us with some evidence. I didn't understand what this meant until I met the squeaker in question. It was a mouse with a number riddle.
So each house number, that one's number 9 and that one's number 13. So we have to look at those two numbers together, which is 1913, so then we have to cross out the DNA.
With the DNA removed from the evidence gallery, we were drawing closer to the murderer. We had to navigate back into town and locate the Baron's Foot. Was the Baron's Foot a code name for a gangster or wrongdoer? The Foot gave up its soul and allowed us to eliminate Bridget Dyer from the list. I became nervous when I noticed more shooters positioned on the library roof, the home of the next clue. Surely they were not going to try and take me out again. Clue 14 allowed us to exclude the blood from the evidence gallery. With our backs to the wall, we needed to gather our thoughts and locate Clue 15. A map of the town was about to give up its numbers. What did this mean? The only way to find out was to locate the map in double quick time. I found it with a smile on my face. It wasn't the best smile in the world, but a happy one. You had to draw a triangle with 7, 10, and 5 and find out what number was inside. The answer was number 9. Once again, my trainees didn't get it. I didn't have time to explain and pressed on to Clue 16 with Eddie off the list.
However, you must find the steps that lead nowhere.
Clue 16 allowed us to cross Blue Hat Deck off the list and suggested I find some steps to nowhere. I talked aloud. Who could it be, Dr. Edwards or Joan Collier? Preparing to arrest the murderer, I suggested my two trainees go deep undercover. Undoubtedly, they didn't know what that meant. These steps really didn't go anywhere, but they allowed me to remove the fingerprint from the evidence gallery. I kept going forward and moved slightly to the right outside Old Manor House. As with all great detective yarns, the Old Manor offered up the final piece of evidence, which ultimately gave me the identification of the killer. Mum and Yvonne didn't understand what undercover meant. They were really clueless. My heart pounded because the killer was behind this wall. The murderer was Joan Collier, and I couldn't wait to utter that famous police quote, "You're nicked, my old beauty," with an excellent jiving celebratory skip. The case was closed.